Hello beautiful people, my name is Shara Nicole and welcome to my channel, The Fashionable Mommy. So in today's video, I kind of wanted to do a sit down. I had previously mentioned in another video, well, my video before this one, my Zara haul, that I was looking into plastic surgery. So let's just dive right into it, okay? There's no way to get around it. I'm a mom of 5, and my last 3 children, I literally had one in 2018, one in 2019, and one in 2020. So I was pregnant every year for the last 3 years. So you can imagine what toll that took on my body, not being able to snap back and get it back together before I was pregnant again. In 2018, after I had my 2-year-old, I went to physical therapy because I did have mild diastasis recti. If you don't know what that is, that's the separation of the muscles. So I went to physical therapy because I was doing research on it, and I knew that I didn't want to do this on my own because I felt like I may could damage it and make it worse. So I did consult my physician, my OB, and told him about the research I looked into. He encouraged it, so I went to physical therapy. Physical therapy was great. I went once a week, and they also sent me home with the same exercises I did during my sessions to do at home, which I did. However, not too long after that, I was pregnant again. And it was, I'm sorry, I feel like somebody was calling it in my bag. Wait a minute. But it was, you know, kind of like my efforts was futile because I turned around and I was pregnant again. So ended up pregnant again, went through that delivery, went into labor early with him, had him at 37 weeks. I'm sorry, no, not 37. I had him at 33 weeks. I'm sorry, 7 weeks early. So I had him at 33 weeks, and a few months later, I was pregnant again. Now, before you judge me, I'm married. This was not our plan to have this many kids, although we are grateful for the children that we had. It was very unexpected. Now people looking at me, they're like, oh, you're super fertile. I was not fertile. Like, my oldest son was 9 before I had my next child. And then my husband and I we were not trying to get pregnant with number 3. So it just was kind of like, you know, if we do, we do, but it wasn't really in our agenda at that moment. And we didn't get pregnant. Like 4 years went in and we weren't pregnant, or 3 years had passed or something like that. And then when we really tried, it took us a year and still it was nothing. You know, we didn't get pregnant. Like, we didn't know what was going on. We went to the doctors, but it was like once Jesus opened up them gates, okay, it kept flowing. And even to the point, not only am I not that fertile, my husband is, I was the first woman. My husband, our first child together, he was 35. And prior to me, he didn't have any kids. And it wasn't like, you know, in his younger days that he was taking precautions in his long-term relationships. He never ended up pregnant. I came into the marriage with my 1 child, which I also have, let me backtrack. So coupled with the fact that before having my first child, I was told that I would never be able to have children. I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I did not meet the typical marker for someone with PCOS that the typical, you know, medical book would list. So a lot of doctors misdiagnosed. The only problem I had was I was not having regular periods. Like, literally, I could go in a year span and probably have 3 periods. So that I was not fertile. Like, if you're not having periods, that means that you're not ovulating, so you're not getting pregnant, right? So eventually I went to the OB I have now, and he really looked into it. He was really great. And he was like, yeah, you definitely have PCOS. You know, I didn't have what they say was, I wasn't obese. I wasn't obese. Didn't have any facial hairs. It was like different. It was like a list of different things. And I was much younger, of course, when I discovered all of this. So I was not the typical person who would have PCOS, correct? So here we are. If I don't have PCOS, cool. I did have a child And really, I probably only got pregnant with him because before they diagnosed me with PCOS, a doctor had recommended, because, also I was not having a period, right? So it wasn't I was trying to have a child at the time. It was just that I wasn't having regular periods. I was having extreme pain. I mean, extreme pain that it can send me to the emergency room when I would come on, because it was literally like my insides was trying to release and it would pop and then I would feel better, right? So went to this doctor. They did a dye test in my fallopian tubes. A month later, I was pregnant. So a lot of the older folks in my family attributed to they opened up something where they got the flow going, and then I ended up pregnant. But after that, it was really nothing. So ended up with my husband. He really didn't have a history of it. We also struggled with child number 3 when we finally decided that we wanted to have a child. But then after that, it was just like, I don't know if in our older age we became more fertile, but God just kept sending it. But I will say with number 4, he was very unexpected. And then number 5 was prophesied to us that it was a girl and she was coming. And at this point, my husband was planning on getting a vasectomy. We didn't plan on having another child, but we did, and we're grateful it's a girl. So I have 4 boys and my last child is a girl. So now let's segue back into the body issues. So I had number 4, never got a chance to get back down. And then I was pregnant again with number 5. So number 5, I ended up having a uterine rupture where I had 3 C-sections for my last children. So the lining where they had did the cut was very thin. So I have all these issues, have the baby early. It was a crazy. I will talk about that in another video. But now I am 7 months postpartum and I am left with severe diastasis recti. Like even before I had child number 5, my OB doctor had said to me, I don't necessarily promote it, but you have no support whatsoever in your abdominal area. You are going to have to go get abdominoplasty, like a tummy tuck, basically. He was like, you're going to really have to look into it because you have no abdominal support. So once I had her, and I'm 7 months postpartum, so I got a consult 6 months postpartum. So last month I got a consult, and I knew before I went, I did my research. I got scared away from a lot of doctors here. I did not want to travel. I live in the DC area, and I didn't want to travel because I felt like me having 5 kids with also me doing a surgery that's so extreme, I kind of want to be in the commuting area of my family members. So just in case anything, right? So I was researching and I was not coming across anybody I like. It was a bunch of horror stories. One night I'm up late and I stumble across on Instagram. I'm just like, I put in DC plastic surgeons, and this one plastic surgery center popped up, and it was called DC Plastic Surgery Boutique. And I was just looking at her Instagram. I was looking at her demeanor, the information that she was providing. Her Instagram was actually, she was answering the questions that I had listed that I wanted to ask when I met with a plastic surgeon. I mean, she just was overall great. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a consult. I'm going to do this. And I wasn't quite sure how it would work with now we're in a pandemic. Like I couldn't even get in to get my C-section. I couldn't get in to get my tubal ligation at this time because of COVID. So I was like, okay, look, should I be looking into this at this point? But the more I looked at my body, the more I looked at everything, I still have some leave left. And I was just like, it doesn't hurt to really go look because you've done the research. You know what you're working with your body. It's best you go and meet with her. So I met with the doctor, and she was amazing in person. She was personable. The office was great. It was clean. It was just like, I felt like that was the perfect fit for me, because that's the most important thing. When you're deciding to do something with your body, it's not always just about the cost. Of course, you want to stay within a budget that you're thinking of. But I feel like if you're going to pay for something that is going to be, a very intense procedure, you shouldn't factor in so much. Is this person going to be more expensive than this person? You need to understand it. You need to understand that the person works with you as a person. Are you guys vibing, or does she give you an aura that makes you feel comfortable, or heal whoever you're, meeting with? Like, do they check these checkpoints off when it comes to how you two relate? So she checked off. She was great. Her office was great. I felt comfortable even when, you know, I had to show my body, which I'm very uncomfortable about. I was very comfortable with her, even though she had the prettiest petite frame and she was very well put together. I didn't feel uncomfortable, and she didn't make me feel uncomfortable. I mean, she was real about what my body issues were. And I told her, I said, I have, before she even took a look at me, severe diastasis recti. So when I laid on the table and, you know, she checked, because you typically, when you're trying to check if you have any separation, you lay flat on your back. You either hold, you know, your hand and you kind of cuff a little bit, and then you do the finger test, right? Literally, there's no 1 point separation. There's no 2, there's no 3, there's no 4, there's no 5. Like, mine is totally separated where it doesn't feel like there's any connection whatsoever of my abdominal muscles. So these were leading factors as to why I said, I'm 37 years old. I love fashion. I don't want to always have to hide my stomach in no amounts. And I've researched, I've looked into it. There are a lot of people like, oh no, you can get this back and you can do this and do that. When you have total abdominal separation, like, how are you bridging something back together that's not connected at all? Like, at some point, a lot of it could be connected like this, and that opening there is the separation, or, you know, it could be a little wider, but something is connected. Like, mine is totally separated. So to further that, you know, the fact that I have total separation was, I did end up 2 weeks ago getting a tubal ligation, and my OB who delivered child number 5, and I see her now. She's wonderful. Let me tell you, she's from the same practice as my main OB, and she's just great. Like, even she and I discussed about me doing plastic surgery. She even recommended that I talk about it here on my channel, because there are other mothers who are dealing with body issues. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if you have this issue to run out and get surgery, or, you know, or don't be afraid to look into it if you do have the same issues, because I feel like at this point there are so many advancements in plastic surgery that, not saying that the risk is zero, but it's way less, you know, than previously. So I definitely say research, research, research. Also loop in your OB, your primary care, whoever you need to loop in to feel comfortable about what you're walking into. And to backtrack, one of the other reasons that I really love the plastic surgeon that I'm going with is she does her surgeries not at her center, but at a hospital in DC. So I definitely love that you're already in the hospital, you're in an OR at a hospital in DC, which makes me feel comfortable, because I'm like, if anything goes wrong, you're already there. So, you know, do your research, do your due diligence. I just recommend, just be careful when it comes to doing things like this for your body. Do not take the risk because you just want to get it done and you're very insecure about your body. So you want to rush out and get surgery. You're going to let anybody do it, or you're going to this person in the backwoods or the basement of this, or this person doesn't charge as much and they probably have been rude to you, but oh, they're still great and their results are great. I feel like when your doctor compliments you, as far as like you guys getting along, it makes way for your surgery to go better. It makes way for your healing process. You know, when it's somebody you feel comfortable with and who is responsive to you, or who responds to you, then after surgery, you're able to communicate with them. So definitely look into all of these things. So now let's go back to me having my tubal ligation. So I had my tubal ligation and I'm talking to my OB, and she, you know, recommends that I should discuss this here, you know, on this platform, which I agree. You know, I feel like there's no shame in it. You know, I'm not ashamed of where my body is, but I am disappointed that it's at this point. But I'm glad that I have an option, you know, and if I didn't have the option, I would work with it. But I am 5 feet, I'm petite, and I look pregnant. Like, there's no way of getting around it. People see me, they think that I'm pregnant still. And it's not like somebody who may have wider hips, bigger boobs, where it kind of just masks. I look pregnant. So here we are. I decided that this is something that I want to do for me. And so this is something I decided to do for me. And my husband was on board. He's like, if this is what makes me happy, then, you know, do it. I don't know if I'm going to chronicle my actual body starting point. I may just do it because I'm like, what the heck? You know, it is what it is. I had 5 children. I have diastasis. There's nothing I can do about my stomach and it looking the way it looks. So I may just go ahead and feature all of that here. So yeah, so when I did my follow-up appointment after my tubal ligation and I met with my OB, we were discussing my stomach and she was saying that, you know, my abdominal area, the muscle is totally separated. Like when she went in, you know, they had trouble because, I mean, everything went great with the tubal ligation, but when they balloon my stomach, like there's no muscle there. Like there's none. It's done. It's obliterated. I mean, she didn't quite use these words, but it's pretty much, I know that it's done. Like I have no core strength whatsoever. And I did work out. I lost weight. I worked out very heavily after having her. Once I got the okay to work out, I worked out and I lost weight in areas I didn't want to lose weight. But I knew that if I wanted to see some results in my stomach, it was best just to shed the weight and then work on that area. Well, let me tell you, I lost weight in areas I did not want to lose weight. And there was no movement in my stomach. Even after having my babies, I kept the binder, my belly binder on. I wore it 24/7. It did nothing for my stomach, for my abdominal area. Even after having, when I was working out, after having number 5, I did diastasis recti workouts, nothing. You know, there's no movement. Once my stomach got down to a certain size, that was just basically it. So I just wanted to come on and share the beginning of this process, and I will take you along with me on my journey. Like when I go back, right now I do have to get a CT scan because it looks like I have a hernia. So that's another thing. My plastic surgeon, she was very good with and thorough. She's like, I want to send you to get a CT scan. So if I need to have a general surgeon in the operating room with me to fix your hernia, we can do that. But she wants to see if it's a true hernia before we go through that whole process. So I really love the time that she took with my body and not just grouping me with everybody else that she's done. She's looked at what my history is, what my body is looking like it's working with, and she's catering her methods of how she's going about it according to that. So I do appreciate that. And it made the option to go with her that more easy. So I just feel like, once again, do the research, know what you're looking for. One of the things that's very important to me with getting a tummy tuck is the belly button area. And this particular plastic surgeon, she speaks on that. Like that's one of her main specialties when it comes to doing a tummy tuck. Like she focuses on the belly button because she even says herself, that's a dead giveaway, you know, when you've had plastic surgery or tummy tuck or whatever, your belly button is a dead giveaway. So I really appreciate that too, because that was one of my concerns. Like, what does your belly buttons look like? Like, do your belly buttons just look like endless, bottomless holes? And I mean, what does it look like, honey? But she showed me, I also saw on her Instagram page, which I will link below, because I feel like even if the plastic surgery you're going with does not have an Instagram like this, is not as out there with the public and her information or his information, knowing some of the facts before you go in and meet with them and the questions to ask is very important. And this plastic surgeon highlights all of that on her Instagram. She even highlights surgery, like in the OR, she shows some of her surgery. So definitely check her out. It's in the link below. You won't be disappointed going to that page. And I hope that this beginning process is helpful for any of you women who were considering it, who were thinking about it. I don't judge what size your belly is. If your belly is just eensy weensy and you want to go have a tummy tuck, that is on you. Just make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. You're doing it with a plastic surgeon who cares about you and your process after you have it done, and not just getting your money, because the health in your life is way more important than what some people would consider vanity. Which for me, I don't consider it being vanity. This is like definitely for the health of my body. Like not having any abdominal support definitely puts a strain on other areas of your body, which I have issues in my groin area where it hurts. And, you know, I've seen an orthopedic surgeon for that, but that's a whole nother story. Okay. You have to do what's best for you, your body, and your livelihood. Okay. So whatever works. Like I may even consider getting my breasts done because they flattened out. You know, we talked about that. You know, I'm not opposed to getting other things done. Although I went in with just the main concern of my stomach area. I'm not opposed to any other surgery. So, whatever you choose to do it, and make sure you do it healthy and fabulous, okay? And that is it for me. This will kind of like be a series. It may take a while before I pop back on here with information in regards to this, because I have a couple of issues or hiccups trying to get the CT scan. Nothing to worry about. I'm going to get that done, and we are shooting for December, the week after Christmas, for my tummy tuck, because my kids will be on winter break, and my husband doesn't have to focus on virtual school at the same time of trying to help me recover. So stick around. The next time I meet and have a consult with the plastic surgeon, I am going to take you guys along. I'm definitely going to check with her and be sure that she's comfortable, which I believe she will be, because she has her own Instagram. But, I will ask her questions while on camera with her in regards to the procedure, the risk, and all those great things. So stick around. I have some good things in store for you women, you mamas, you fashionable ladies. Like, this is our year of doing what we need to do for us. So until next time, be bold, be beautiful, and always, always, no matter what you do, plastic surgery does not determine this. Your authentic self, always be you, always.